Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel again today. I'm gonna be doing my first official inbox video here. Was gonna do more of a Monday inbox type of thing, but it's currently Tuesday and it's probably gonna be Wednesday by the time my terrible Wi-Fi uploads this. It's the middle of the day on Tuesday before I'm going to work, but we'll see. So anyway, without further ado, I want to get into our first inbox request here. And it's from one of the first subs I have on the channel here, Mr. Tomcat. Thank you, by the way, for sending this in. Um, so Tom asks, do you pursue living for the future, such as a dream, or live in the moment? I know this is very situational and could be both, but would appreciate your opinion. Keep up the good work. Love to see this type of content moving forward. First of all, again, thank you very much for sending your request in. It means the world that somebody's shooting in a question for me, so that's pretty cool. And So let's go ahead and get into your question, and I think the answer sort of lies in it already. This is one of those topics that I think our brains tend to figure out before we really do, just in my experience personally. So, oh, bye. Okay. Yeah, he killed himself. I know the feeling, dog. Trust me, I know the feeling. So today, today, for example, I got up, I woke up, didn't eat yet, kind of whatever. I'm kind of living in the moment right now. You know, I'm playing Minecraft, recording a video. And even though I don't have any larger goals with this channel, it's in pursuit of something bigger. And to tie into your original point there, you know, it is very much. Ow, fuck! You slut, quit hitting me. God damn, fucking, it's like O block down here. Fuck, bro. Anyway, as you said in your question, it's very situational, and it's sort of a way that your brain tends to allocate its own resources. You know, like throughout the day, you know, let's say you're probably in school or you're at work, you know, whatever. You gotta just muscle through it. And at work, I personally tend to have to be kind of in the moment somewhat to keep myself sane. I have a very overactive fucking brain, and I can sort of fall into a bad mood really easily if like one thing goes wrong before I go to work, and then my whole day I just think is ruined, even though it's really, you know, whatever. In my case, you know, I got a lot of creative pursuits that I have outside of work that I'm trying to sort of level into something bigger, you know, that would help me not have to work a shitty 9 to 5 job later in life. But you know, if that doesn't work out, so be it. But regardless, oh, don't fall in there. Regardless, I I have to sort of temper expectations, and that's sort of the problem with having big goals for your life. You know, even if it is more of the traditional path, like say you want to go to college, get a good job. You know, maybe you're going into like STEM fields or something, so you're kind of guaranteed a half decent job, especially medicine. I mean, medicine's like almost a guaranteed career wherever you go because there's such a shortage of medical staff, you know, nurses, even doctors, specialists, what have you. But anyway, even that kind of goal, as straightforward as it is, has to be somewhat tempered. Because let's say you're like 15 or 16 right now, you still got to get through high school, and high school fucking sucks. I mean, we all know that. High school fucking sucks, and college is sometimes even worse. I mean, in my personal opinion, I didn't have fun in college at all. I thought it was a joke. But you know, a lot of people get a lot out of it, so I don't want to just put that statement out there like, oh, you shouldn't go to college. I mean, if that's part of your goal, you have to do it. But you know, right now you just have time in front of you, and that's the biggest problem with all this. Time is such a cruel bitch. Time is terrible. It really is. Um, it sort of racks our brains, especially our modern brains now, in a way that is hard to comprehend. You know, younger kids especially are going to have a really tough time with this in the next 5 to 10 years. Sort of a thing that I've mentioned in the past couple videos, I think, is the sort of lack of attention span that's been brought on by things like social media. And it's not like nobody's talking about this. This is a very common talking point. So I mean, I'm kind of beating a dead horse in a way, but it's still important to talk about, I think. Um, that mindset being influenced by social media makes it harder for you to look into the future, and it makes it harder for you to pursue bigger goals because you're so focused on the now. You know, like you want to just be fulfilled right now. And even at my older age, I say older, I'm like fucking mid 20s, but even in my age that's older than that age group, I'm still technically a zoomer, I guess, on paper. You know, I was born late 90s. Um it's still difficult because I had a period of time where I personally couldn't keep my eyes on anything other than what was in front of me, and that usually was this PlayStation or my phone or something stupid on Twitter that I was arguing about with fucking retards that I didn't like. It's terrible. You get locked into this sort of mindset when you're online too long, and it's harder to live for the future because honestly, you aren't even living for the present half the time. You're living for the past. You know, you get so locked up in these ideas of like how your childhood was. You know, things were great, and then all of a sudden it turns into like, oh, well, my life kind of sucks right now. Man, I wish I could go back. And that really never changes in my experience. You always do kind of want to go back. I'm sure when I hit my 30s, it's probably going to get even worse. Even if I do accomplish a lot of my goals, you know, it's just that simplicity of childhood that just makes you happy. But kind of back on topic here, I think the healthiest way to balance it is just that a balance. You know, it's not about only pursuing your long-term goal every single day you wake up, if only because it's not economically viable most of the time. You know, at some point, especially once you're older, you have to work. There's just no way around it unless you have a partner you live with that can financially support you and is willing to do that for you, which is probably the biggest lucky streak you could possibly get on in life. Think, you know, Kurt Cobain, for example. Granted, he was kind of a dickhead to his one girlfriend that did this. You know, she worked overnight in the Boeing factory up in Washington so that he could stay home and be a fucking deadbeat basically and make his art. And I mean, you know, relatively speaking, you know, he made good art out of it. You know, he's still kind of an asshole for it completely, but you know, that's an exception to the rule, I think, and it's important to keep that in perspective too, because I personally would love to have a life like that. I would love to fucking just make art all day and not have to worry about stuff like that, because I would have time in the day to kind of fuck off for a few hours and then just get right down to brass tacks and do my thing. And you know, like my job right now, it's physical labor, so it's hard once you get home at night to want to apply yourself. You know, my hands are stretched out like crazy because I'm lifting cases in a warehouse all night. So I mean, I'm very, like, my dexterity's up when I'm playing guitar, for example, but like it's just, you know, your body's tired, your mind's tired. You don't always have the energy to apply yourself. And so it's important to keep that perspective, as crushing as it may be, that, you know, 3 or 4 days go by and you haven't really done anything super productive. You know, it's not the end of the world. Certainly, if it doesn't align with your bigger goals, it sucks. But, you know, keep in mind that you're alive another day. You know, it's not the worst thing that could have happened to you. Okay. All right, I'm coming on. Oh. Ah! Sorry, I just got boner jump scare there. Holy shit. Whew, that actually kind of spooked me a little bit. It's been a while since I've been spooked like that. But yeah, I mean, it's all about perspective, definitely. And like I said, you kind of answered your own question in a way, but that's one of those things that our unconscious mind tends to answer before our conscious mind does. And that's perfectly fine. I've gone through that myself. You know, me personally, I try to keep the bigger picture in perspective. I spend most of my day at work daydreaming while I'm working because it's such a boring fucking job. I can basically think about anything. My brain half the time is thinking about my life goals, and the other half is a 3D GIF of a rotating sandwich. It's really that simple. I'm not a hard guy to understand, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, perspective is really key in that. You know, even from the biggest goals that you might possibly have to something that seems a bit more mediocre. Maybe you just want to have a good family and a good job. But it always takes time. You know, everything takes time. You can ask the most successful people in the world, you know, fucking rappers, actors, whatever. Besides the ones that get super lucky and just have sort of an overnight rise to stardom, it takes time. And even for those people, it takes time to sort of perfect your craft before you become an overnight sensation, you know? It is still a road. You know, you still have to have, if you're doing a creative field, for example, you really do still have to have your shit together in a way. But, you know, most people that have very sudden fame, especially on the internet, you'll notice, it sort of drops off after a while, and people forget about them if it doesn't, like, if there's no longevity in it, you know? because I can't even think of the amount of streamers. I don't really watch streamers, but I know of streamers that got super popular, and then within like a year, you never hear about them again. And that's depressing in a way, because, you know, you get big, make a bunch of money at first, and then it's just kind of like, oh, where'd that guy go? And then you see a meme comp of him like 4 years later, and it's, oh, I forgot this guy fucking existed. And you find out he's not streaming anymore, and he had to go back to a day job, and it sucks, but it's just the way it works, you know? So, that I think ties back into that concept of longevity and keeping shit in perspective. Is like, if you work on something gradually, it shows progress. You know, like, I'm sure if I keep working on this series, maybe I'll have better recording quality. I doubt it. Excuse me, I'm kind of lazy, if you can't tell. But, you know, this to me is my sort of low effort series. But I think my talking ability is going to probably get better over time, because I know I'm very prone to rambling right now. And I haven't even watched any of my videos back, really, because I just don't want to listen to myself bullshitting for 15 minutes. But at a certain point, I know I'll be better at speaking and sort of hone my points in a little bit. I was a lot better at pointed speaking when I was in college, and I had to do it every day. But now that I'm a blue-collar jack-off, I spend more time cursing and swearing and smoking cigarettes than I do speaking concise things. I write concisely, but I just, I don't know. I said, it's sort of stream of consciousness, just whatever. But let's go back to the topic again real quick before we close this out, sort of wrap it up. As I'm getting fired on by all sorts of Al-Qaeda militants down here, it looks like. Holy shit. They're coming from everywhere. But go back to your question. You know, it does take a balance of perspective and thinking about the future versus now. The one thing you don't want to do is get too stuck in the past, for sure. Just don't get stuck in the past. That sucks. It sucks being there. I spent a lot of years being that way because of events in my life, and it drains you. It makes you a worse person overall. It makes you a lot more angry. It makes you feel a lot more entitled to things. It's just not healthy for you. But, you know, like you said, it's situational, so just keep that in mind. You know, it's always about the situation you're in. You know, you always want to be in touch with your current self in a way, especially if you're putting yourself out there to the world, because that's how authenticity works. You know, you're being true to who you are in that moment, and that's ultimately what keeps you sane, what keeps other people from thinking you're a dickhead or you're nuts or whatever. At least within reason. Maybe you are nuts. I don't know. I feel like I'm nuts, but that's neither here nor there. But again, thank you, Tomcat, for sending that question in. If I get any more questions, then I'll be sure to do that. Otherwise, I'll probably just be bullshitting on some other topics for the next couple weeks. I was going to wait a few days to upload another video, but I got the response in on my email, and I just wanted to shoot a quick response out. It's a nice little thank you for sending one in the first place. If I get some more, I'll be sure to shoot them out within the next week or so, whenever I get time, basically, with work and everything. But, again, thank you for sending that in, Tomcat. It means the world. Thank you to everybody else who's watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you.